Tuesday, May 9th at 7 p.m., the Village Council regular meeting. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Lori Bourgeau,
Present.
Kelsey Cook,
Here.
Maureen Helmut,
Yep.
Allison Kemp,
Here.
Jacob Nicosia.
Here.
We have a quorum. Number 4, approval of the agenda. We do have a guest in the audience today, so I'm going to see if we can change up the new business order if everyone's in agreement. And CJ, you're welcome to stay for the entire meeting, but I'm going to move you up just a little bit on the agenda in case you want to take off a little bit early. So, so I would move to amend the agenda to put current item 9G, the Planning Commission vacancy appointment consideration, to the top of new business as item A.
Support.
Okay, are there any other, is there a motion to, oh, that was my motion, for any other amendments or changes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nay? Motion carries. Okay, we have 2 public hearings this evening. The first one is the delinquent utility billing and violations to be added to the 2023 tax roll. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved at 7:01.
Okay, Helmut, 7:01. Is there a second?
Support.
Bourgeau. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Bourgeau,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Helmut,
Yep.
Kemp, yes, Nicosia.
Yes.
Okay, and the hearing is open. So this public hearing is, per the village ordinance, we can add delinquent charges. Most of them are, I think, seem to be water and sewer bills to the tax roll for collection. Looks like the week of March 27th, about 70 individual notices were mailed. We posted the required notice, received payment from top half of the list, and still have some remaining to be certified to the tax roll, totaling $23,450.11. I think that's still accurate. So is there any public who wishes to speak on this agenda item? Seeing none, I'll move to close the public hearing at 7:03.
Support.
Motion made by Cook, supported by Helmut. Can we do a voice vote for them closing? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nay? Motion carries. That hearing is closed. The next one is the Truth and Taxation Budget Hearing. Move to open the hearing at 7:03.
Support.
Supported by Helmut. Roll call vote, please.
Cook,
Yes.
Helmut,
Yes.
Kemp, yes, Nicosia,
Yes.
Bourgeau.
Yes.
And Mr. Redor, do you want to provide a little bit of background on that?
Well, you know, we had our budget workshops, went through all the various cost centers. Our revenues were looking pretty good this year. We had a pretty good amount going into fund balance, 153,000 approximately. So the breakdown just by fund is provided, and very particular, oops.
And that's later on.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's further back down when we adopt it, more of the details. But the 11.12 is what we're continuing to charge, and that was with the $0.5 increase we did a few years back. That's being allocated and transferred to local roads to help the local road funding.
Wonderful, thank you. Any public wishing to speak in regard to the Truth and Taxation Budget Hearing?
So we've clearly stated in the village going forward, right? Good.
Great. All right.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing at 7:04.
Thank you. Motion made by Helmut, supported by Bourgeau. 7:04. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nay? Motion carries. Item number 6 on the agenda is time for public comment. So this is where the public can speak to council about any issues. Anyone wishing to speak under public comment? Seeing none, we will move on to item 7, the consent agenda. Item A. Is there a motion to receive and file?
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to receive and file consent agenda items A, 1, and 2.
Support.
Motion made by Alma, supported by Kemp. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nay? Motion carries. 7B, is there a motion? 7B.
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items B, 1, 2, and 3, including the bills in the amount of $111,618.86.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Alma, supported by Bourgeois. Any discussion? Hearing no, roll call vote, please.
Alma?
Yes.
Kemp? Yes. Nicosia?
Yes.
Bordeaux? Yes. Cook?
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to number 8, unfinished old business. First is our EV project update at 32 East Burdick. Mr. Raffel, welcome.
Good evening, Dave Weckl, local resident. I have an update for you on building and the parking lot. Building siding is almost complete. So those of you who haven't been on that side of town should drive by. It looks pretty nice.
It does, yeah.
We started our sign application work with Kelly, and we're moving forward on that. Don't have any timelines yet for any of that, but it's not really an issue at this point. We're waiting for DTE. Thank goodness thanks to Joe, we referred a planner. We finally have a planner that's responding. Maybe that shouldn't be on the record. This is our 5th planner now, and she was way above and beyond anything I could have expected. Everything's going very smoothly. Still, we have timelines that are going to have to be met, but we should have our service to the building sometime end of June, 1st of July. In the parking lot, same time frame. There's several poles that have to be set. A couple have to be removed, and even if she could start tomorrow, she couldn't because we have to restake it to make sure the poles go in the right spot. Because unfortunately the excavators moved some of the quarter stakes. So it'll be restaked this week, and then she'll be out again, write the work order, and then we wait. So sometime probably in July is when it'll actually happen. The parking lot, you probably noticed it's been graded and compacted. We're letting it sit, make sure there's no soft spots. And we're looking to do concrete work, and sometime middle of June. The contractors we've been working with aren't available until then. So they'll do the concrete work first, which includes the sidewalks, curb and gutter, and then they come in and do the asphalt after that. So I would say by, let's say, the end of July, to be reasonable, it'll have a coat of asphalt on it. Because they don't want to let it set too long just with stone. They want it to set a little while. Within a week, they want to get some pavement on it. We've started the dumpster pad. Footings were poured last week. The block work started today. So that should be done by the end of the week. The enclosure itself. And then we'll work on the post and the door gates. Let's see what else is going on over there. Handrail on the balcony. We've had the handrail for probably 6 or 8 weeks. It's upstairs, but we just haven't put it up. So we'll probably put it up next week. And I think that's pretty much it. That's changed since last month.
Thank you, it looks really nice.
Yeah, thank you. It's come along great. The siding that we selected is power coated steel, and it's awesome. They had a lot of people stop by and want to know where to get it. It's actually custom made, but it's very reasonably priced. I mean, it's more expensive than regular siding, but it's like a 30 or 40 year siding. And, so I'm calling it to be 30 or 40 years.
Excuse me.
Good.
We'll time it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks so much.
Yep.
Item 8B is the residential inspection ordinance.
Yes, Madam President, in the packet is the packet of what we had sent out to the 300 plus rental units that I described to you folks. That was, once we got the database pretty much nailed down, we have a few lingering ones that haven't registered, less than 10. But we sent a few tickets out. We haven't, some of those have been paid, some of them are still chasing. But then we had over 300 individual rental units that we sent to. Got some feedback, some questions already called. So I think at this time, that's something we would probably look to do. Maybe another quarter from now, another quarter, to see. We should have the final lingering units that have not been registered, we should have those before long. If those who have even ignored a couple of them have got the ticket and claimed they never got the notices. One, first notice, second notice, or final notice, but they seriously saw the ticket. So that helped prompt a few more registrants. So just right now, I'm going to see what that does and try to nail down those last few registration ones for now.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from council?
Did you say 300 units?
Yes, individual units. It was like 130 some properties, I think. Some multiple, some 4 units in them. The Oxford Square apartments down there in Pontiac, we sent one to the management company and asked them to share if they have an internal newsletter or anything like that. We didn't send all, I don't know, 250 or 300 units there. We're waiting to hear back to them before we go and send out to everybody there. And again, that is pretty much a commercial operation that's cookie cutter. It's not as imperative as far as the repairs go, but it's still, there's good information we sent out as far as low income people that are between jobs, something that need help with their water bill, or food assistance, clothing assistance, those or other resources that were included in our mailing. So we'd like to make sure that was as well. Help with the water bill perhaps.
So I was absent from the last regular meeting, but I reviewed the minutes. Are we doing anything further on the ordinance drafting?
We had wanted to wait till we had a full council to discuss that.
Okay.
So, I mean, I would like to go ahead with trying to find an avenue to do a pretty pared down inspection.
I agree.
So would we be at the point where we basically put a proposal together and send it out to see who could do what, how much,
I
and...
do want to go back through, make sure we know what is on that list. Because I know at one time we had the row, we had,
It was like 12, I was pretty down about 6, I think the final one, May of 2 years ago, I think, May of last year.
Yeah,
It was down to 6 primary ones.
yeah. It seems like we need to include the information of what we want in a proposal to send out. And I don't know if, Mr. Medora, you agree with that
Yeah, and
route, to
it
see
was
kind of
just-
what's out there?
whether when kind of somebody's going out and doing it, the logistics of connecting with the landlord and or tenant to facilitate the inspections, the timing of it, whether there's the 5 things or 6 things or 7 things, probably doesn't matter much to the overall cost. But the kind of initial quote was for setting up all the database for the registrations and things like that, and that was like $5,000. So we've already accomplished that. But the other part was to somebody could physically do the inspections if that's where we want. But I have to find out to see if that's obviously still something that they do. I know they were in a big project out in Flint Township, which was a large community, instead of the county. And then that did kind of fall apart and they parted ways. I'm not sure what the details were there. It's a big animal.
we talked out, and I agree with paring it down to 6, but I do want there to be something where they could walk in and there's a hole in your floor that.
There was language in there that nothing on the list restricts the right of public safety representatives from reacting to life-threatening and safety issues.
And on the other hand, I did want to, we talked about the ZBA could be an avenue if they wanted to appeal something. Okay, that's refreshing my memory, thank you.
Well, it would have to be, your ZBA has authority to hear challenges to decisions made by building officials. So we would have to wrap the ZBA process along those lines.
I just-
People could go for an appeal.
I just wanted to make sure there was a checks and balance too. An overzealous, if there were enough overzealous inspector.
What do we want them to be inspected at this point? I mean, the last one I saw was crazy, what was on there, and,
Well, we had a pared down one, I think it was only 6 items.
Yeah.
It was,
Handrails on steps.
GFIs in the bathroom.
GFIs,
Valve,
smoke
furnace,
detectors,
smoke detectors.
Safe egress,
Yeah.
stairs.
Handrails,
and
safe stairs that
safe ingress, egress.
lead to the building.
There was no paint color inspection.
A minimum amperage on the meter was up to 60 amp meter box, I think, but that's,
and how often were you talking about doing it, or we're still, we're still trying to decide?
We were still trying to decide if we were gonna go on initial and then every 2 years or.
All right, I don't want to make sure I didn't miss something, because I don't remember. So the chief isn't really supporting it at this point in time. I would say the only thing that makes sense to me is very basic and in between tenants, but without a tenants request.
Your current chief is very supportive of having the knowledge on the restriction.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's super helpful. And again, have we done anything to have we put anything out to the tenants yet about their renters' rights or anything else?
yes, that was the packet in here, that's what I sent out, I think if I'll email it to you all. About 2 weeks ago, we sent over 300 of them, or around 280 or so.
But, I mean, that's to physical mailing, right? Did we put
Yes.
something on the site yet? I didn't know.
I think on our Rental Resources link, on our site, it might be on there as well, a link to the state, this document here, which was several pages. I only included like 3 pages in the mailing that were specifically related to maintenance issues, and I mentioned that in a letter. Sample of that multi-page document is in there, like pages 26 to 30, I think it was in the document, because it spoke right to the rental rights for maintenance and things like that. That was
Yeah.
included in the mailing.
Okay,
As
yeah.
well as the link to this rest of this document.
That's, I wasn't sure on this site.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
So how does inspection occur? I mean, what's the step? So they go through the renter's rights and then they basically request more?
So we would, if we implemented the ordinance would say, we are now going to start doing these proactively. We would make contact to the tenants or landlords for permission to do it. Now, they can deny us permission, and then we can't do an inspection unless you have to go to the court with probable cause, I think.
I'm sorry, the landlord could or the tenant could?
The tenant, or I think they both.
They both can prevent you from coming in, but we can get, you have to have a system where you have to have due process to get an order regardless. So the system we were trying to set up was a staggered, every 2 years, we kicked around so many ideas it would be hard to go back and tell you all of them. But generally a time interval, right, triggered by time, and then re-inspections, and then we talked at some point about, having an inspection when there's a change in tenant. We thought that could be a little bit too frequent because some of these places move pretty fast on that. So we hadn't really narrowed down, but it would be a time interval system where, and the point is to make sure that if somebody in our community is renting property, it meets the basic standards.
So for instance, if we have 280 of these or so, we're going to do roughly 90 the first year, 90 the second year, 90 the third year to start all over again.
Right.
So if you did like a 3-year cycle, because again, there's a lot of logistics to connect with some of these. One of the guys I sent a property recently with a citation for non-registering, he connected and he lives in Texas. His sister lives in the home. He hadn't seen anything yet, but somehow he got the ticket, through his mail. So there's logistics sometimes. Try to connect with them. Some people can only meet their need. I don't know how that would play out with an inspector or a company or contractor, how that plays into their scheduling or pricing.
Was there something about if the family member lived in the home?
That they could give you permission or something? Or?
Wasn't there something different about if it's a family member?
There were some exemptions.
Oh, it wasn't a dwelling unit in the
Then
definition.
it wouldn't meet the definition of a
Like a
rental.
kid living in the basement.
Yeah.
That's not.
Or a kid home from college. We had a bunch of exemptions.
But
Yeah.
his sister living in the home wouldn't do it?
He lives in Texas, it's his house, and he rents it to her, whereas his sister lives there as an adult. So it's a,
So the sister isn't exempted?
No, the ones that you're talking about had a time limit.
yeah, like 12
Okay.
months or less.
Right.
So there's other communities that do this, and I feel like it'd be nice to know if we were gonna move forward, like, what did they do to set it up? Like, did they do it in-house? Did they use, you know, a consultant firm? So a community that I lived in the past, I lived there, and then I had to rent my house while I moved, instead of selling it right away. And and before I could rent it, I had to get a permit from the city to have it be a rental. And so then I had to make a couple of improvements, you know, put the
Where was that at?
St. Clair Shores,
Yeah.
like put the sticky stuff on the bathroom window because it was in the tub, you know, in case it broke, or just like, you know, put a handrail up and stuff. And then I did that because I thought I had to get my, you know, to have some move in. So since we have existing rentals already, but I'm sure at some point St. Clair Shores included that. So I guess I'm wondering, like, do we want to, you know, kind of have a subcommittee that does the research to figure something out, you know, what have other communities done, or if we're gonna put this out for a proposal to see if there's a consultant that can do it for us, because we can't do it in-house, then we need to have, like, you know, basically enough information decided upon to put in a proposal. And then my biggest concern is, you know, the logistics of it, really. You know, I'm always in favor of having safer environments for residents to live in. But like, if it's not going to logistically work, or if it's going to cost the village a lot, if it's not going to be successful in accomplishing the goal, then I don't want to do it.
I can contact some other communities.
Okay.
City of Lapeer, I know, has one too. I saw it there, so I think about it.
Yeah.
Here, water,
I
food.
gave Joe a whole bunch of them. So they're out there. I think what you're saying is to follow people. We know that they have the ordinance, but how are they implementing it?
Right, yeah. Yeah, I think it's easy enough to write the ordinance what we want, but then who actually does it so that the community
Is
isn't,
it in-house or out-of-house?
Right. how's the money recouped?
Yeah,
The
the big
cost of
question is
it.
financing for me on that.
Yeah.
Are we gonna be made whole?
I think City of Lapeer does it. I think they do. Some large, you know, larger cities are able to do it. Council building officials versus contracting it. That makes it a little different for us, because I'm sure there's others like us that do contract. And the only avenue I think we've looked at was McKenna.
Yeah.
So we can look at maybe some other avenues, contract-wise.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate McKenna's proposal at the time, but yeah, a lot has changed since then, like you pointed out too, so. Do we want to just keep this on the agenda for next time? We'll just
Yeah.
discussion item now? Okay. Any other comments or questions from council before we move on?
Actually, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
What were the nature of the questions that inquiries that we received from renters?
Oh, just, hey, what's this information you sent? Why am I getting it? What, do I need to do something? No, it's just information and just kind of filling them in, why they got it. They'd never seen it before. There's only a couple. And just didn't know if they needed to do anything or not, you know?
You send us money.
Yeah, most of them thought they did something wrong, so.
Oh, okay.
You know, and it was-
So I had to tell them, no, this is purely informational.
At least one was a frequent flyer color, so.
Good reason to talk to you.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to 8C, Journey Lutheran Church and Village Parsons Correction Solution. So it seems like the information is similar to what we've talked about in the past, just looking for direction. moving forward.
Yes. Unfortunately, Pastor Matt couldn't be here. He was out of town. But basically, I told him we had the information. If you look at the page 2 of the memo, it had a blueprint on there, which kind of described what their wishes were. And Bob, going back years, has a large file and spent a lot of money on this process years ago.
Yeah, we have, this was an exhaustive project done by Bob Bunting and Joe Young. We went parcel by parcel, deed by deed, visits to the county, all the way through all the parcels involved. So this is what, my recommendation is, I want to do what the church wants to do, and I think it's logical. But I just want to hear it and make sure I understand it, balance it against anything that happened here, and if there's no conflict, we're good.
Yeah, so
I
basically,
just don't want to do something that conflicts with something we already did.
the small sliver parcels on that blueprint, the picture of the blueprint are the ones that the village currently are still in their name. The church would like to keep those and then give us the pink outline parcel, which is Edison Alley, which currently is still in their name. That public street that everyone uses. So they're just looking like do the swap to make it more reasonable.
Which seems entirely logical.
Yeah.
And I just want direction to assure if that's where council is okay to end up, then we have to find a way to get there.
Yeah. Makes sense. Any questions or comments from council?
Are we all covered?
Good.
Are we all covered? Okay, so I'm trying to look up the color copy on my phone right now. Insurance-wise, there's a school on that property. If someone gets hurt right now, are we in the clear?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, sorry.
There's a school on that property. Insurance-wise, are we in the clear right now if someone gets hurt on our playground?
The playground is the very southern part that juts out towards Marketplace Mall. That's the far right part that juts out from that.
Sorry, I'm trying to
where
find the
the
color
playground
right
is.
now.
So the blue part, it's just
The playground might be right here.
Okay.
And then I think we'll be off, or they wanted the solid red back this far.
that playground is off our right end of that blueprint, and that part that sticks out.
I recall what the colors
So
were.
it's just grass and trees on the one at the top of the drawing, which is the east side on Pearl Street. That's just some grass with some trees along the neighboring residential property. And similarly, same thing basically on the one at the bottom, which is on the west side or north side of the driveway. It's a little bit of blacktop and a little bit of grass parallel to their parking lot.
Can we confirm that we have easements on everything we need an easement on?
Yes, there's easements underneath. So just to the right of that pink area where that cul-de-sac kind of stopped, there's that kind of a square section just to the right of it. That's a sewer easement going through there because they were putting a pavilion up there recently, pouring a slab for a pavilion, and we had to go out and make sure that they were not over top of our sewer easement. I believe that was the only case where there's a conflict going on.
I would like to congratulate you on the correct usage of the word pictometry. Very impressive.
Oh. There you go. Thank you.
Not a word to see every day, so.
Now, check this out.
All right, I will move that we move forward with the parcel split combinations between the village and Journey Lutheran Church in a way that's acceptable to both parties with the following conditions. So we'll have approval from legal counsel to verify compliance with the charter language. Review and approval from village manager, Kennedy Surveying, Journey Lutheran Church representatives of the new lot layouts and legal descriptions, with the final lot split combination documents being approved by the village manager. Make it easy.
Support. Sorry.
Motion made by Cook, supported by Howard. Any discussion on the motion? No? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Kemp?
Yes.
Nicosia?
Yes.
Rochelle?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
Helmut?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, 8D, the FOIA policy. So I have questions on this one. I don't know if anybody else does.
Yeah.
It references to start out that there's going to be a public version or, summary. Is that this, or that still needs to be prepared based on this information?
It's in there.
It is in there? Okay.
What you're required to do in order to get the benefits of having a policy, which you have to have, is you have to create a version for your website that is more easily read by the public in general than the FOIA itself.
Okay.
So we prepared, isn't there in the package a public version of,
What page would that be on?
it's the FOIA procedures and guidelines, preamble statements of principles,
Okay, so it's a very
the
long.
general policy.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
Okay.
It's not a short little, hey, for you, you get right.
No, okay, so that's everything that's
Yeah.
in here basically.
Right, and that's a requirement.
Gotcha. I mean, I definitely feel like it could be
Shorter,
shorter.
you know?
Or more like consolidated or organized differently, just so it's easier to follow. Some of like, I have questions here, and then I read like 4 pages later and I find the answer to my question, so,
That
but maybe that's how it has
is
to.
exactly how it's supposed to work.
Okay, then, okay, that answers that.
The example that you put in here, is that a good example? Is that what you included it?
Which example are you talking about, exhibit?
That's an actual thing.
It's a denial? Okay. I think I dozed off on it.
Oh, okay.
This is really good for having to get some sleep.
That's the one I have questions on.
Yeah.
Okay, that is no longer, that's removed from the agenda, so.
yeah.
we're only- Yeah, that was taken care of. So the new agenda didn't include that, even though it's still in your packet. But it is an interesting example.
Yeah.
So the reason we're doing this is that your community gets a certain amount of benefits by having a FOIA policy. First of all, you have to have a FOIA policy. So we're doing it because we have to do it. But once it's in place, and once you meet certain criteria, and it's on your website and available, the role of your clerk gets all the easier because she gets certain benefits. She can rely on her forms now. She can call upon people to use the forms. She can keep things more organized. Absent having this published, she doesn't get those protections. So we're not asking anything that isn't otherwise required by the law.
On page 2, under section 2, requesting a public record.
You're still in the intro.
Yep. Like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5 paragraphs down. It says the request must sufficiently describe a public record so as to enable the village to identify and find it. Could we add, describe an existing public record, or is that not necessary? I wonder if it would be more clear for the public that you have to request something that's existing.
Yeah,
I mean, in the response, you have the ability to say that it doesn't exist.
we
Yeah.
can say it doesn't exist, or we can say it doesn't exist based on your description of it.
Yeah, that was a little bit more of some of the other questions I had too. Can't we just deny it because the record doesn't exist?
We can. But the burden, the burden on this process is the people who are looking for have to be able to sufficiently describe the record to give your clerk an opportunity to find such a record. So, she gets a FOIA request that says, I need records on property. What does she do with that? It's a legitimate FOIA request.
Yeah,
It has to be denied because the request doesn't sufficiently identify a record.
right.
Then she says, well, I need information. I want all the records on property on Smith Street. Well, still, you're gonna want it, you gotta get it down to a parcel number or to a property address. So the point here is the burden is on the public to be able to describe what they're looking for. It gets rid of witch hunts and fishing expeditions, and it makes them, identify a record. If you want a record from us as a public record, you should be able to sufficiently identify it. We should not have to guess what you're looking for, nor do we have to create a new record to satisfy your request, nor do we have to compile existing records to satisfy a chart or something that you're looking for. We don't have any of those burdens.
So on page 4, it says when a request is denied or denied in part, you issue a notice of denial which shall provide the following. Why isn't record does not exist on that list? Instead, we have respond that the requested record does not exist under the name or description provided, but wouldn't that lead you then to contact the person to say, you didn't give me a sufficient description, or your request is you know, I want to make sure your request is not, you know, giving you way more information than you need because you're going to be charged for it. So I'm just wondering if we can, there's not a bullet point on there that just says the record does not exist to deny it. But down further it says, if the request isn't sufficiently describe a public record, the FOIA coordinator may, in lieu of issuing a notice of denial, indicate the request is deficient, seek clarification or amendment of the request.
And we do that often.
Yep.
So you're looking for a bullet point that says,
Just,
denied because the record does not exist.
Right.
Forget about, and then have a separate one that says, does not exist under the name you've given it.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to do either or, because if it gets to a point where you're, so like, I get a FOIA request, you know, I can tell this person's looking for something, but I don't know what it is. It's not, the information they've given me doesn't lead me to the record that they think exists. So I call and I say, I received your FOIA, you know, you're not specifically identifying a record that you believe I have to give you. And they say, oh, well, I want this. I mean, it's going to get to a point where you're just going to say, I have to say, you know, I think that there's that courtesy aspect, but then eventually you're going to have to get to a point where the record you requested it doesn't exist. And I'm not going to keep calling you to see what you might be guessing, having me guess at finding. Is there a way to
There is.
avoid that?
The caution on that is if you say the record doesn't exist, without saying in the manner you described it, which gives you a little hedge, right?
Okay.
If you say it doesn't exist, and later, through some other FOIA request that comes in a little clearer than that person's, who's in cohort with that person, we're able to respond and say, yes, here it is.
Okay.
Then the one is going to come back and say, hey, where was it when I asked for it? So I always like to say, it doesn't exist under the manner in which you've identified, you know, tried to identify it.
Okay. I see.
That's the rationale there. So a blanket, it doesn't exist, is a pretty bold.
What if it said it does not exist or it does not exist in the way?
We could do that. We could do that. I just put the hedge in there so I'm not being.
And I understand what you're saying, but I feel like here,
Go ahead.
if they get a response saying it does not respond in the way you said it, they're gonna like just come at it, they're
Yeah.
going to think they didn't word it right, so they're gonna reword it and try again, even though the record does not exist.
Well, based on what I've been through with Bob, the pat answer, and the safest legal answer was, we have no records responsive to your request, and put it back on them.
Right.
When I, you know, if I say that record does not exist, I'm making the assumption, or they can assume that I know what record they're looking for, and I'm going to say we don't have a record, we don't have that record.
That record.
Yes.
Right.
And so therefore, I just think it's bad to do that. And the law says we have to respond in one of the following ways: grant the request, issue a written notice denying the request, grant the request in part, and issue a written notice denying it in part, issue the notice indicating that the due nature, you need an extension because of the nature and scope of it, or issue a written notice indicating the public record requested is available at no charge on the Village of Oxford's website. Those are my choices. I always go to the law, I use their verbiage.
And
their
that's
language.
what's in there.
And that, to me, that's the safest course of action for me to take, but, you know, Bob has, the fact that to say we have no records responsive to your request, I think,
Bold.
covers that and says, you know, I mean, if I have communication with them, I don't always have an extra phone number included to call them up. And a lot of times if I have the, you know, if it's possible, even through email, I'll say, what exactly are you looking for? Because they don't always know what they're really even looking for. And then I can work with them.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's just my input on that.
No, and yeah, that answers my question. I'm comfortable with that. So we're not going to be guessing at what anybody's doing anymore.
No.
Because that's what we did before, right? We were
tried.
trying to help people.
We tried to help people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean, on the form, we're trying to make it a little bit easier, but like on the actual official form, it says, record does not exist. This item does not exist under the name provided in your request or by another name reasonably known to the village a certificate that public record does not exist under the name given as attached. If you believe the record does exist, provide a description that will enable us to locate the record.
Yeah,
I think that's one.
these are the forms that I use to respond to who's ever asking. So, and I can tell you from my experience, most people aren't going to read through this minutia. They're going to go right to the form. They might read the information on the form, and the form is self-explanatory. But as Bob said, this is our insurance policy. It gives me something to hang my hat on.
Yeah,
Because,
sure.
to frantically be trying to find a reference to the law, just like you said, Kelsey, when you're reading here and you have a question, then you go 3 pages farther and then you see the answer. In the law, it's even more convoluted because it doesn't, it's not a one-size-fits-all, here's all the answers. It's if this condition is, such and such, then this applies. If it's not, then that applies. And again, it can be time-consuming and confusing because I'm not a legal, I'm not an attorney, so I don't interpret the law. I just try and find my, reasoning for answering or denying based on the law, what the attorney or what our attorney tells me is appropriate.
It's a non-attorney spokeswoman. It's a non-attorney spokeswoman. I agree with Bob. Whatever Bob says, I'm in. The total faith in you, Bob, on FOIA requests only.
There you go.
So we're gonna remove the certificate language in the forms though? 'Cause is that
Yes.
required under the law? It's in a couple of different spots.
No, it's never been required, and I had to make up a certificate. I hadn't even heard of such a thing until we had my last 1 in a million FOIA requesters demanded that he receive one, and I called Bob and I said, I've never heard of a certificate. And I found it in the law.
Yep.
And Bob said, make one up.
Gotta have one.
So I created one, but this is again, policies can tie you to them. So if you violate your own policy, you're in trouble. So I'd rather stick with the law, not be highly specific, so that I don't get snared, snafu'd by somebody who uses the law as a hobby and is looking for those little loopholes to hang me on, So that's why I thought it would be good to remove that particular wording. If they should ask for it, I could provide it, but to require it,
Yeah,
I just think is a mistake.
okay. So we'll remove it from all the forms as well?
Yes.
Okay. There's a couple instances where it's still in there in these forms, but that's housekeeping. And then the public interest. So that's where, what's public interest?
Yeah, so recently I did a series of FOIA requests all around the state relating to how different communities handle recyclables in the state of Michigan. And in the body of the FOIA request, we indicated this was an initiative by the governor and the attorney general to see if we can, get a handle on Michigan recyclables. This was before we amended Part 115. And most of the communities that I sent that to didn't charge because they saw the public purpose. Some still charged. They said, you in public purpose, out the window, buddy. Send us our money. So it was probably, I would say, 5% still wanted to get paid. But there are some projects that I don't think we ever get any, but could qualify for as a public purpose.
Any other questions or comments from council? Hearing none.
I know it's a lot of material, but your clerk needs to be cloaked with this kind of document.
For sure.
And I think we can always amend as we, find things.
Anytime.
But
Having it is the key.
Okay. Do you need a motion to approve it, or you're fine with just
yeah, it has to be.
do? Move to approve the FOIA policy as presented. Okay, any discussion on the motion?
We should do it.
Could you include that to be posted to our website or village website?
Sure.
Under the motion?
Yep, and to post the policy to our village website.
Yeah, roll call. In your heart.
Absolutely. Motion made by Cook, seconded by Kemp, as amended. Roll call vote, please.
Kemp?
Yes.
Nicosia?
Yes.
Bordeaux?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
Almond?
Yes.
Motion carries. Great, thank you. New business.
Thanks for your review of that, Chelsea. I know you spent some time on it.
Yeah, actually, I spent a couple hours reading it, so it was
I'm sorry about
good. It was good to read.
Madam President?
Yes.
All of our items in here are lettered appropriately, and that's why if you're gonna take G and take it first.
Okay.
We're just gonna refer to the other ones on the right letter, maybe that'll.
I'm
make it
totally
easier.
fine doing that. Okay, yep, so we'll do G first.
All right, versus re-lettering everything, okay.
Yep. And let me just get to,
Oh, now my paperwork's out.
I know, let me find our paperwork here.
That would be in your, number
For the
G,
MERS.
9G in the,
That's right before.
Okay, so this is our planning commission vacancy appointment consideration. So CJ Gaster is with us this evening. Do you want to come up to the podium, please?
I already talked to him, he's good.
Yep. Mr. Gaster applied for the spot on the planning commission. We spoke a little bit just via email. He's also spoken to the chairman of the planning commission, Scott Flynn. Obviously, looking from your application, you're more than qualified, and the village would be lucky to have you serve on the planning commission. So is there anything you wanted to say this evening?
I suppose that it's really, I mean, I feel that it's like up on to you guys if you want questions to ask me, I
Sure.
suppose. Like I can give a lot of speech, but I don't know if I'm answering the right questions or if I'm just
Yeah.
going off on a tangent. So I open it back to you.
Sure, yeah. Do you want to just briefly talk about what interested you to serve in local government?
Yeah. So before living in Oxford, I lived in Warren, and I lived in Clarkston before that. And one of the things that I noticed was that the city of Warren is the third most populous city. And you would think that as the third most populous city, they'd have some walkable downtown or like somewhere nice to go, but that wasn't the case at all. Actually, as a matter of fact, they paved the city over and put a car dealership down the way, making it not a very pleasant place to hang around. Nobody hangs out at a car dealership. You don't make friends at a car dealership. And what the reason why I moved to Oxford is Oxford had a very beautiful walkable downtown with shops. They have an arcade there, a movie theater, just things that you don't even see anymore. And like if you go to Royal Oak or Lake Orion or almost any downtown, like all those cool places have kind of been priced out. And I wanted to make sure that what we had was kept sacred, kept special, and that we maintained our beautiful waterfronts, our walkable paths, and also maintained our wonderful downtown, and make sure that we, as every place expands, we expand in ways that make sense, that we don't turn Oxford into a dealership, that, if we're putting something new in, that it's something that adds to the community, it doesn't detract from what wonderful things we have.
Yeah, thank you for answering that. And I think the planning commission is a great commission to serve on for that purpose as well. So I spent a year on the planning commission, and I loved it. And of course, Mo serves as a planning commissioner as well, so you see her every month or twice.
He's been watching the meetings on
Oh,
TV.
perfect. So you have a sense of how things will go a little bit, so.
The cable channel will be thrilled that someone's watching. We can name a person.
Any other questions from council members? Okay, hearing none, I'll move to approve Christopher C.J. Gastor. Am I pronouncing?
Gastor is correct.
Gastor, thank you. To the Village Planning Commission, and could you help me out with the term?
I didn't include that in there, so I can't, at the end of this year,
It will
right?
expire at the end of this year.
End of this year.
He's filling the vacancy for Kelly Arkansas, we'll have to reappoint him
We'll have to
this next
reappoint.
year.
Okay, with expiration at the end of this year, then of course, if you're willing to be reappointed at the end of this year, continue on, but for this term, it would be ending 2023.
We could scare you off. Trust me.
Yeah, I think you're making them stay until.
I'll support that.
Oh, you took my side.
I agree.
Motion by Cook, second by Helmut. Any discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Nicosia,
Yes.
Bordeaux,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
Summit,
Yes.
Kemp.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Welcome.
Pleasure, everyone.
And Terry will be able to swear you
You're
in,
good to go.
whenever you coordinate that with her. So,
Awesome.
thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Now be careful for this meeting. We usually appoint you chairperson.
Oh, what meetings? Oh, sorry.
All right, let me find my way back to our resolutions here. So the first one is the CDBG, which I think is a separate page.
Again, and this is why it came up last week. I received it in the mail last week, and it was due to the county before our next meeting, so that's why it had to be added in. Initially, I had it down under K, and then when A was being vacated, I moved to the top, try to keep everything else in order. So 9A is resolution 2309. And again, you guys are aware of the Community Development Block Grant Program that we use for years. The public service fees that we've given to Fish, we've given to Love Inc. We've used some for our handicap or ADA door opener recently, and perhaps some other improvements like that for new architectural barriers in this next year or two. So in order to remain in the program, they just want us to verify it with this resolution.
Great, thank you. I move to approve resolution 2023-09, the Oakland County Community Development Block Grant Program as presented.
Support?
Bob, I have a question. As a MERS person, employee, do I need to abstain from this?
On this one? No.
We're doing this one now.
I thought you were doing the MERS one.
No.
Well, it's on, oh, because we're out of order.
This
But
is
the answer to your question is still no.
Okay, thank you.
the one.
Any other discussion on the proposed resolution? Hearing none, roll call vote please.
Kemp,
Yes.
Bordeaux,
Yes.
Nicosia,
Yes.
Summit,
Yes.
Cook.
Yes. And that resolution passes. Next is proposed resolution 2306, approval of the budget for fiscal year 2023 to 2024. All right, so this is, if there are no questions or comments from council, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2020, to adopt resolution 2306 to adopt the 2023-2024 budget as presented.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Cook, supported by Hellman by Hurd. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote please.
Summit,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Bordeaux,
Yes.
Nicosia,
Yes.
Cook.
Yes. Motion carries. We have a budget. C, resolution 2307, delinquent utility billing and violations. I have a question on this one. For the delinquent water, could we send each address, or how can we get them RAP and LIWAP information? So there's two programs. The RAP program will pay up to $1,200 past due, and up to 200% of the federal poverty level. And then there's a LIWAP program that pays up to $1,500 for up to 150% of the poverty level. And if any of these households are eligible, they could apply, and then this wouldn't be certified to their tax bill.
I think the deadline for this, correct me if I'm wrong, is already passed for this particular one, due to our
Okay.
charter.
Mhm.
But yes.
In the future, we can
yeah.
do that. So if we have the addresses and we just send them a flyer.
Yeah, and we could, that's a good idea. But you have to keep in mind too that these amounts that are past due, and some of them are, $1,000, but Therefore, what's 6 months past due, that's not even what is come after the 6 months. So this is not going to zero out their bill.
Okay,
There's still ample time to save them,
yeah,
because this had to have been from December 31 backwards.
right, gotcha, yeah, okay. So we could still reach out to
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
households just with that, and I can give you updated flyers too.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the LIWAP, it's really easy, because you
So
won't pay for anything else.
we have to give that information to everyone.
Okay,
And I went through.
you can't target male people?
You know, because you may have people who are paying their water bill who really cannot afford to pay their water.
Yeah, I'm fine giving it to the whole
I think we
community.
should give it to everyone.
Yeah, I don't know what the
had a little
cost
issue
is.
on this by just targeting this towards people who haven't paid means they can't pay,
Mhm.
because it's not always true. And those who have paid, maybe they are also in a position where, you know,
Okay.
they could use these programs. So
Yeah,
I would recommend we give it to everyone.
yeah, if there's is that cost prohibitive in any
We
way?
put it on the website and
But to mail it out, I want to get like a physical copy in everyone's mailbox?
We could, and I could gather that price.
yes,
If we might have to do the postcard to save printing and mailing.
it's not crazy. It's a-
It'll be less than $1,000, I think.
We still budget money for a newsletter reader.
Not really. I was going to this year because I think I actually did this year a little bit because we talked about, you know, the rental stuff, things like that. But I think I had 2,500 in for that, for the new mailing newsletter. Because again, not everybody's on social media, not everybody sees the leader. And if it shows up in their mailbox, we're hoping that they would see it. So we could even look like, we have a small, tiny section on our water bill, but it's not enough really to get that kind of information.
Yeah.
So direct mail, right there, probably would be better. They might receive it and just know it's a mail that they can use it.
Yeah.
The name of the program is, I'm drawing a blank on, but the Oakland County program that helps with home repairs,
The home improvement and minor home improvement program.
could that be put on there as well? We're
Yeah.
sending something out already.
Yeah.
Like my half as well, the Michigan.
Yeah, that's a good one, actually.
Yeah.
Just hit them all, hit everything.
If you think,
If we're gonna send out,
if we sent that out each year with every program we think people should know about.
That would be great.
So if you think of anything else, maybe we can work on it.
Yeah, I know my half provides pass-through taxes, water bills,
Yeah, it's
rent,
pretty
everything,
broad.
up to $25,000, so.
Journey Lutheran was working on a thing that they put out for help people with various things. Love Inc. connects people with resources. So,
Okay.
like the mailing I said to the renters, that
Yeah.
are predominantly for renters, but there's other things on that.
Good deal, that would be a good program for people.
And we could also maybe get Fish to keep him on hand if they can hand
Yeah.
to somebody, or Love Inc. If somebody comes in and says, we know they've got these programs.
Yeah. Yeah, make sure they have some flyers there for
Yeah.
the pantry, when people come to visit the pantry. And perhaps our folks out here in
Right.
Oxford, open-handed, might have some flyers out there. So we have some like in our counter. So,
Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, if there are no other questions, I'll move to adopt resolution 2307 to include delinquent specials to be placed on the 2023 tax roll as presented.
Could you identify that as identified in Exhibit A? Those are the individual amounts that will be applied.
Yep, as identified in Exhibit A, yes.
Can you support?
Yep.
I'll support.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a roll call vote, please.
Nicosia,
Yes.
Elwood,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Bordeaux,
Yes.
Cook.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Next is the OMID 2023 assessment roll for the Drainage District.
and you see Terry put together a memo when they were talking about the pros and cons of paying it off early versus
Yeah.
paying the long run. We're making good money on the money now, but don't know what that will look like in 2, 3, 4 years. So, and the sewer fund has adequate
Enough.
funds in it.
Yeah, I love the idea of prepaying So if anybody's interested on the background, I can sum it up in a sentence. We need to do this work so you can continue to flush your toilet.
I trust your judgment.
It's pretty incredible the amount of work that they're doing, that's going on, so.
And we're only paying a small portion of it, thank
Yes,
goodness.
lucky for us.
0.5928% of it.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to prepay the Oakneck Trade Bond Series 2020B 2023, the amount of $90,940 to be expensed to General Ledger 590-000-300.002, account description drain bond, Oakland McCone Interceptor. And it doesn't require a budget amendment, which is great.
Support.
I think there's a typo, it should be OMID, not OCMAC.
Oh, yeah.
It should be what?
OMID.
OMID, OMID,
Yeah, I'm here though.
in the
Oh,
recommendation.
right, okay.
Yeah. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote please.
Oh, let's see, where am I? Cook.
Yes.
Nicosia.
Yes.
Bordeaux.
Yes.
Kemp.
Yes.
Helmut.
Yes.
Sorry, was that everyone?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, motion carries. Special event application 2303, worship in the park. Does this have everything that we need, or are we missing things?
I think the only thing, we don't have their, he used an old form we had. See, he's got the application fee on here and stuff like that, which is not part of our new form that we updated last year. So that wasn't required. The insurance, I don't think I have the insurance yet, because it's not scheduled till towards the end of August. Oh, did we get that one already?
Yeah.
Okay. There was another one in there that already got the insurance on as well, the next one too. So the one, I think was a typo, on page 4 of the application, he has one storage 16 bay, but it's actually staged, it's in this picture. It's a foot tall stage that they put up for the people that are playing the music. This is something that, I think the same, they've done this in the past, same group.
Yep.
So, pretty straightforward. And I have no issue issuing it. They said they didn't send a check in. I think they did. They say he had the old form. He must have just had an extra from last year or something he printed out.
So we did receive the application fee?
Yeah. Yeah, I think on this one he might have, now that I think about it, and we were just gonna hold it in a back room because it wasn't required.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, I'll move to approve the special event application for worship in the park as presented in our packet.
Support.
Any discussion? Motion made by Cook, seconded by Nicosia. No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nay? Motion carries. Another special event application for the Memorial Day Parade.
Right under the wire, yes, came in last week, but they did get their insurance in later that day or the next day I think it was. I'm not sure if it showed up in the packet here or not. Yes, it is, okay. Same map as last year, it was just recycled basically, just so you could kind of see it. So you just make sure everyone's aware, the police department, the fire department, help out along with everybody else there, so.
Yeah, this is a really nice parade to have in town. Any questions or comments from council? Move to approve the special event application 2304 for the Memorial Day Parade.
Support.
Motion made by Cook, seconded by Helmut. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any motion carries. Next is the Mayor's Defined Contribution Plan Addendum.
One typo there, and Terry and I were discussing this. Page 1 of 1, which is in the second group of forms, right after page 4 of 5. It's customized definition of compensation addendum, so it's labeled at the top. And there's a bunch of checklists. The longevity pay wasn't checked when it should be. That is encompassed as part of their wages. That's how it's paid out.
Okay.
Lump sum payments, we have paid time off, vacation, personal, sick pay, longevity needs to be checked as well. So that'd be the only correction.
So with the correction of checking the longevity page, longevity on the customized definition of compensation agenda, move to approve the modifications to the terms of adoption agreement, meeting the legal obligations of the plan as presented and recommended by MERS.
Support.
Motion made by Cook, seconded by Helmut. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Bordeaux?
Yes.
Nicosia?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Talbot?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, next, police chief contract amendment proposal.
This is something that last year or two, I was looking at that thing, you know, this is the only contract I'm aware of that we have anywhere that there's a cap put in on his annual review, any changes in the annual review or salary. I've been doing the 2.5% each year, that percent of the budget. Obviously, I want to lose the ground, and I think obviously that was all warranted. But I just think I'd like to see that removed from the contract so it would be more, but, you know, just not pigeonhole, so to speak.
Right. Larry, I move to amend the chief employment agreement by striking out the sentence in section 3 that states any annual adjustment shall not exceed 2.5%.
Support.
Motion made by Cook, supported by Helmut. Any discussion? Question? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Talbot?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Bordeaux?
Yes.
Nicosia?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
I think we all know how bad that is there.
Parking lot acquisition, long-term lease consideration.
Okay, and this came up just recently as well. The owner of 28 North, which is Homegrown Brewery, also owns a separate parcel behind it, which is the vacant parking lot, which is depicted in there. And over the last few years, you know, he's been putting money into it, they've been striping it, they've been patching it. But I think what prompted him this time was our code enforcement guy sent him a note saying, you know, we've had some complaints about your parking lot. The irony was just breathtaking. As the guy went into the scene in our office. And he's like, I don't know why I own this. And that's why I'm glad you do. So we don't have to. But he wondered about how to recoup his money via parking meters and things like that. And I said, well, I know there's a need for parking, of course, in all the quadrants. And he wondered, well, what would we do? Would the village be interested in all? I said, well, I know the ones just south of Bentonville, Williamsburg, that property, which is 22 North, I believe. I shared him the agreement that the village did in 1997, a 99-year lease. That's how it's handled in the past. He's wondering if the village would be interested in his parcel at all to do something like that. Very brief conversation, that was about it.
I think that lease agreement is a horrible document, and I would just as soon buy the land.
6 to 1, half dozen the other, I guess, at that point, right? If an assessor looks at anything over a 30-year lease as a purchase anyways, and it's kind of silly to have a 99-year lease on that. No, but that was way before your time, I'm sure.
No, remember the standoff and
Oh, yeah.
Is this where they literally like blocked off the parking lot?
the parking lot where we had the barricades out there, I had to get a court order to get them out of there. Remember that?
It's a fun
You
song.
probably remember that, Mr. Whitlow.
Yes, I do. That has nothing to do with the parcel that.
I know, I'm just saying, I don't want to, when the guy starts talking about metered parking,
Yeah, no, I remember.
in order to have metered or pay for parking, now you gotta separate it, right? And I just remember those barricades that were put up there. We were like, what happened overnight, I think.
Yeah. So again, his tenant obviously is a Homegrown Brewery, and they have a desire to have their tenants park out there, and others do as well.
It makes sense from a maintenance standpoint, it makes sense from a snow plowing standpoint, it makes sense from a lot of standpoints.
I mean, technically, Don, Grant, I love that we don't have to plow and maintain it. But people just look at it and think it's a public space, and they treat it that way.
Yeah.
Is there any other parking lot like this?
No, all of our other quadrants are fully owned by us. I believe.
Not anymore, not anymore.
Okay. This would put garbage, the
Well, and
dumpster and everything. on it?
Yes, I questioned that a few years ago, like, why are we paying for like garbage, why are those garbage cans, and in our contract that we have with downtown, well, then I found a document with the downtown rubbish district, which has a very specific outline which encompassed this lot and that dumpster pad. That's why it's part of our rubbish contract. Come to find out. But,
This is the last part.
again, the $1 million question perhaps is going to be what kind of compensation would be involved.
Well, probably at this juncture for the council, should we have this conversation or just no?
Yeah. Are you interested in acquiring it? Or
We're just talking about
I
it.
mean,
Yeah, there's no ideas or any negotiations or anything. It was just a question with the council. Would really be interested.
I say yes.
I mean, it seems unfair that that business is saddled with that if no one else in our district is, or in that district.
Why don't we just be authorized to have the conversation and come back to you?
The property's going to be valuable
Sure.
at the end of the day. And it's going to support the businesses downtown as well for the next 200 years, so.
And I don't know if there's any way for them, obviously you can sell it, but why would someone want to buy it if they have no tenant adjoining them, that there's, all you do is pay taxes on it and maintain it.
Or you hold it hostage for a bigger price.
Right, yeah.
You could very
It's
easily,
zoned P1, the parking district, so I don't know if you could develop it on anything. I think that'd have to be zoned, and I don't know why that would be feasible, possibly.
you could very easily restripe it to be a problem.
Yes. Creative striking. So again, this just came up about a week ago as well, conversation, so it's relatively new. So I just look for direction to entertain.
I say make it happen.
Do you need that to be a little more formal or
A
no?
little bit of this.
Okay.
Just authorize the conversation.
I'll make a motion to authorize the village manager to enter a discussion with property owner regarding the property.
Support.
Motion made by Helen, supported by Kemp. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nay? Motion carries. That's
That's
good.
good.
Thank you. Okay, items removed from consent agenda. There are none. Second round for public comment. Anyone wanting to talk under public comment? Seeing no one moving towards the podium. We'll do committee reports. Our board show.
Have no updates, thank you.
Great, thanks. Planning Commission and Cable Commission.
The planning commission has not met in what seems like forever. And the cable commission did meet, I was not at the meeting, but they provided, where's Jerry's letter?
It was in the correspondence.
Okay.
It was a really nice letter.
Yes, and they're very grateful and appreciative.
I love seeing
I
everything.
said, well, the budget isn't adopted yet, so don't get excited yet. Now it's adopted, so.
Just remind them that it's a quarterly payment, so it'll be like July, August, September quarter. We won't get those payments till fall.
I'm pretty up to date on it.
Oh, yeah, Terry knows how that works.
Yeah. I know, I signed a check for her, so we did, for one of the other ones.
I was actually amazed by how much they can do with the additional funding that they're going to be given.
Yeah.
It seems like quite a bit, like that they have.
They've got a really good staff, except for this guy sitting over here. I hear he's out of here. And they're real go-getters, so I'm hoping it all works out, so.
Yeah, that's great, thank you. The DDA, I was absent, but Director Westbrook, would you mind providing an update? Thank you.
So we had some exciting things this month, but I'm gonna start with the boring stuff. We have spring cleanup on Friday. So if anybody wants to volunteer 9 to 1, we actually have a pretty good group coming out and the LOFT program from the schools. So it's always nice to work with those students. So we have about a group of 30 that'll be helping us clean up the downtown. And we have some fresh umbrellas to go into Washington Square, and so it should be looking nice. June 22nd, our market and our concerts kick off, so just keep that in mind. The DDA took home 2 awesome awards this past Thursday at the Main Street Awards. So we took 1 home for our art and mural projects in the downtown, and then the second one was for our facade and grant program. So in the past, a little less than 2 years, we've given over 34 grants to businesses downtown, and they were really impressed because that's actually about 1/3 of our district. So that's a lot in a little amount of time. So it was really nice to have those 2 come in, and that was out of 8 awards to all 27 communities in the Main Street. So taking home 2 was really great. Did I mention Shopping District of the Year last meeting? I can't remember, but we were named Shopping District of the Year. We were in top 3 with Birmingham and Rochester, and we were chosen. So that was really cool. Let's see, anything else that's crazy? We did a really neat special on Channel 4, Live in the D, with the arcade this past week. So as soon as they let us know when that'll be on, I'll let you guys know. But they did a really nice piece on Oxford in general, which was cool. And I think that's it. Most everything's on Facebook, so if you need to catch up.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Diane Trail?
I was at the meeting last month, it was here, and easy. They did receive a $50,000 grant, I can't remember the name of it now, Edward Stevens grant, something like that. It's gonna help them fund the engineering costs for a rehabilitation of the tire trail. They're doing a design engineering package for that. This is gonna help with match money for our partner equipment for parks and Fulton County Parks grant as well. So they did get 1 grant already, I think it was for $50,000. Other than that, everyone's doing well.
Great, thank you. Manager, staff, and attorney report?
I'm good.
I sent you guys a little update in the email a little bit ago, and that's all I had.
Okay. Terry?
I don't have anything.
Chief, anything you want to mention?
Just as this Friday, for our Oxford Addison Youth Assistance, as vice chair, we are doing our youth rec this Friday at Cedar Lake Township Park from 4 to 7, so we're looking forward to that. New Tahoe has arrived, and it is outfitted and ready to go with our new Wildcat logo that we've been approved to put on the car, so that looks nice. More late parade coming, that we mentioned, and concerts in the park we're looking forward to, so looking forward to some warm weather and moving on.
For sure, thank you.
I'll piggyback on Chief a little bit. Our latest hire, young man, started after his field training operation officer background work and everything, is on his own as of this week, right, Chief?
Yeah, we just got him loose from his field training process. Matter of fact, he's out there working right now, and he's doing really well, so I'm really pleased with that.
Awesome, we're lucky to have them.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I think that concludes the committee reports, so we'll move on to item 13. And I would move that we enter into closed session regarding the police officer contract pursuant to MCL 15.268C.
Madam President, could I have your mind to include the asking one as well?
Asking one as well, yes. Second?
Support.
Motion made by Cook, seconded by Helmut. Roll call vote.
Nicosia?
Yes.
Cook?
Yes.
Helmut?
Yes.
Count?
Yes.
Monroe? Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we are officially out of closed session. Are there any council comments? Borjo?
No, congrats to CJ, and thank you for him applying.
Great, thanks.
I just have a quick question. Are we all comfortable with how Dave Wackel's property is continuing? To maybe where he doesn't have to come to every meeting? Maybe you could provide us with a written, if he wanted to.
That would be nice.
And maybe have him come back in September, at the end of the summer, and give us an update. Okay.
Okay, I can take it off the agenda then, so it's not under old business. Just do prepare
Just let Dave
I'll
know.
share some emails. or
For the
something.
summer, he's good. We'll get back to him in
Okay.
September and see what his progress is. And that's it.
That's so noted.
Great, thanks. Nicosia?
No comments.
No comments, thank you.
Okay, none. Move to adjourn 9:28.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is adjourned.